Welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. Our theme for 2025 is the future of work. Meaning is the new money. In a world shaped by rapid innovation and constant change, the pursuit of purpose and impact has never been more important. I'm Dr. John Dentico, your host, bringing over 30 years of experience in leadership, strategic thinking, and purpose-driven innovation. Here, we tackle the pressing challenges of our time, from the rise of artificial intelligence to the growing need for meaning in the workplace. Together, we'll uncover how leaders can ethically integrate AI to enhance decision-making and keep humanity at the heart of their organizations. Remember, amidst all the technological advancements, in the end, it's always about the people. This podcast is your resource for actionable tools, thought-provoking discussions, and inspiring stories. It's time to go beyond leadership development and focus on leadership impact, creating workplaces where people thrive, innovation flourishes, and meaning truly becomes the new currency. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, let's throttle up and dive into today's episode. Hello again and welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Dr. John Dentico. With me today is Brady Dahmer. Brady is a brand strategist, creative problem solver, and author of Blind Spots: How to Prepare for What You Don't See Coming. With a deep passion for storytelling, marketing, and project clarity, Brady helps businesses and creative teams identify hidden risks, avoid costly mistakes, and seize overlooked opportunities. As the founder behind the Central Branch and its sister agency, Theory and Practice, Brady is known for helping organizations communicate their value, unlock their competitive edge, and dominate their marketplace using insight-driven strategies. His proprietary C5 process has helped brands move from confusion to clarity and from chaos to confidence by aligning messaging, creative direction, and market positioning. With years of experience managing cross-functional teams and brand initiatives, Brady distills complex challenges into simple, actionable frameworks. His mission is to give leaders, marketeers, and entrepreneurs the tools to stay one step ahead, avoid project pitfalls, and turn strategy into results. Whether he's speaking about project planning, brand ownership, or the subtle risks hiding in creative assumptions, Brady brings practical insight, contagious energy, and a knack for cutting through the noise. His podcast interviews are packed with real stories, practical tips, and frameworks that audiences can apply immediately, and I am truly pleased that he is here with me today on the podcast. Good morning, Brady. How are you today?
Awesome, John. Thank you so much. That was an incredibly impressive bio. I'm excited to be here. We just had a quick conversation. I said a quick conversation turned to a long conversation because I think we've got so much in common, and I'm excited to have a discussion, share insights, and give as much back to your audience as I possibly can.
Great. Well, I appreciate that. I'll send you a copy of the bio, and you can share that with your friends and your enemies. You know, So, Brady, I'm adding sort of a personal touch this year, and I'd like to ask you this question. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up, and what were some of the fundamental influences in your life?
Oh, great question. A lot of people just want to dive right into what I've been doing as of late. As I think about it, a lot of the stuff, as we grow up, we learn those big lessons. I don't think we understand what lessons we've learned until we look back and see what's molded us, where some of our values and insights are, and how we do business. I grew up way out in the country. I grew up right beside a farm. The people who owned the farm essentially became family to us. So a lot of every farm is essentially, every farmer is an entrepreneur. Every farm family is an entrepreneurial business. I think that relates to what I do now. You always have to mitigate the risks. As a farmer, you're always having to continuously grow and mitigate any kind of business risks, that being the weather or machinery, like things like that. It is always a constant growth activity. One of the biggest things I also learned from being out in the country and the farm is the sense of community, the sense of everybody working together. Farming is a collaborative industry. I don't think a lot of people realize how collaborative it is, but We would go to the chicken farmer for the eggs or the chicken and the dairy farmer for the milk, but it was all very collaborative. It would be too much work for everybody to do all of that. So in that, the sense of community, the sense of support, camaraderie, that I bring that forward to everything in my life. When someone's in need, and the mentorship and helping people through that. That's a basis, my entrepreneurial sort of basis. We moved into the city, and that's where I fell in love with marketing, advertising, everything visuals. My background is very very visual and creative based. My mom was incredibly creative but never saw that through in her business. My dad was very much a mechanical engineer. I bring the left brain, right brain into it. When I looked at what industry I wanted to get into, it had to have the balance of both. That led me into the marketing industry. So in that marketing, the balance of being really creative, but also it has to be functional. It has to do something specific. Those two things led me to creating my own agency, and then all my other little side projects that I have of exploring things either very entrepreneurial or very creative based. And that's for anybody that hires any kind of marketing agency or any creatives, making sure that they have the balance of both. It can't just be beautiful, but it's also got to be incredibly functional. I think really great marketing has a really beautiful balance of both. So that for me was the history of the quick history of me and how I approach projects and the community at large.
It's interesting. One of the reasons farmers have to be collaborative is because they face a similar challenge called Mother Nature.
Yes.
You're up against it all the time. Sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not so great. So they really have to work together. Hey, Brady, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Your book, Blind Spots, focuses on preparing for what we don't see coming. I'm a big foresight guy, to tell you the truth. What are some of the most common blind spots you see in marketing or project management today?
Preparedness. I think with everything with the pace that we have right now, what I see too often are people moving too fast without enough preparedness on all levels of the project, whether it be who you're hiring for said project. Probably one of the biggest things, again and again, is the rate at which people hire a contractor, and they don't realize the implications of hiring. When I say contractor, I mean a designer, a photographer, a videographer, web builder. So anybody that they hire externally for their services, sometimes they might hire too hastily. That's probably one of the biggest issues I see people get into, or one of the biggest problems, because it is if there's a referral from somebody or someone's son who does web design or logo design. So there's a lot of these. Yeah, the biggest blind spot is probably people and hiring. The book has a big chapter around that, because it's like hiring a contractor just like you would hire an employee, because a really great marketer, website builder, designer, you want them to be there to build your brand and company over years and not just do a simple one and done. Also, you're having to work with that person. We've all been in situations where we've hired somebody maybe too hastily and we're like, oh my God, what did I do? And you realize maybe after the project, soon as you get into the project, you realize that it's not a fit, either their style of who they are or how they function, how they work, their personality, and only to realize now you've now got a good chunk of the project to finish with someone you're not on the same page with. So that for me is probably the biggest one, because that's also the most costly one for companies as well. Not just for money, but also for time, because as we go down the road, like a website, as you start building out a website and it's just not working, are you going to have to buy that company out or cancel the contract? But even if you do that, that's just time wasted in your business. So that's just lost times. If you're 3 months down the road of building a website and it's not working, well, those are 3 months lost in your potential revenue earning capabilities for that company. So that's the biggest thing for me is people. So hire people like you're going to hire your next employee. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I see people, the most costly and biggest thing I see people making, the biggest blind spots.
It's interesting. This year I've been talking about this notion about hiring. And what I say is hire for values, hire for heart.
Yep.
The idea that if you're looking to hire someone, you want to ensure that their value system and the organization's value system are aligned.
Yep.
And then heart, meaning people who have overcome difficult, complex issues in their lives, maybe a tough upbringing.
Yep.
I've had some guests on here that would bring water to your eyes on the kinds of challenges they've had to face. Yep. So let's just concentrate for a second on the values perspective. Yep. Does it make sense to you that an organization should look to hire someone on values?
100%, because values comes down to work ethic, business ethic, and things like that. Absolutely. You want someone similar in a foxhole with you, because businesses will go through ups and downs. One of the issues that just came up the other day with a client is that they hired somebody. It wasn't just their work ethic, but also their values when it came to business building and how they could actually, if something wasn't happening, what action would they take to amend that action? Or if they saw that something wasn't working, how were they going to fix that? So just ethics, but also their ability to creatively think and creatively problem solve. Like those are all those other things that really, the way people think is really important, because that's so key. You don't want someone to bail out. If something's happening, they're not showing up, right? So that's always a big thing too. Again, different roles, different needs, but with marketing and branding, you want someone to continually show up, be available, and help you. So one of the biggest things I think when hiring someone too is ask for referrals. So if your friends have used them, or if the person, I'd ask for referrals from someone who's in that same value group as you, to get a referral from them. How was it working with that person? Because it's a big red flag. As I said, there's a lot of those throughout the book. One of the biggest ones when hiring contractors is that they don't have referrals or can't give you a referral. It just means one of two things. They're just starting out, and that's where you can temper what you're going to give them in the way of work or responsibility. But also, if they've been in business for 10 years and they can't give you any kind of referrals, that's a massive red flag right there. And that's something that's going to keep, it sounds like they can't finish a project, they don't work well with people, all those things that make up a really great supplier or contractor or employee.
Yeah, I think values are important. I think that in the world now where we're involved with, what does it take to retain people? Why would they want to stay?
Yep.
And I think if there's a mismatch in values, they'll be gone soon.
Yep.
So I think that if you get values alignment, you may have them for 5, maybe 6 years, and they may leave after 5 or 6 years, and guess what? That's okay. Because it's not a bad thing on you, and they may not hate you, but it's time for them to move on, do something different, learn something new. People are much more mobile today in the workplace. So let me ask you this question. You created the C5 process to help businesses clarify their competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through what that looks like in practice and what kind of breakthroughs it creates?
So the C5 is essentially, maybe I'll back this up a little bit, because being an entrepreneur, the farm background of sort of not just seeing the end problem, but seeing what caused said problem so that it doesn't happen again. If something keeps breaking, it's best to understand what's causing that thing to break. So over the years, this also comes from my dad's engineer and mechanical side, is that I'd love to create beautiful things, but if it doesn't work, then there's not going to be any return on investment. I am here, like marketers, branders, like people that do everything in the industry. We're here to create value and properties and brands that will help your business grow. Although it's sort of creative and it's some things are very intangible, the tangible thing is how is that going to emotionally move people to do what you want them to do, or connect with the brand, purchase something, and that's that value that branding and marketing adds to it. A lot of clients do not really understand what those pieces are to make a great brand, to do a really great marketing campaign. The C5 was built specifically to start asking those questions of them. It was very much helping them understand, and this is one of the biggest blind spots. People think in this day and age where people want to move quickly, the more research you do, the better the outcome would be. But using sports analogy, like the better your opponent, the better your chance of winning. Like if you go in blind, it could be a coin toss, but the more insights you have, the greater chance of winning that you have. Before we start any of the branding, any of the marketing, any of the design stuff, we really took a step back and said, okay, how can we prepare a client? How can we ask the right questions? How can we get a client, how can we pull that information from them? So now we have those ingredients to start creating something that really has impact. Here's something, John, that we found. Clients are more willing to take bolder moves when they understood what the industry wanted. If they don't know, then they're just incrementally moving the ball a little bit forward, not taking some of those big swings that might have that impact. And what is marketing? What is branding? It is there for impact. It's there for recognition and everything else. So if you're not taking big swings, then why you're there? Your money's just, you're dripping the money out of the business. The C5 is there to ask them really pertinent questions at a very high level. Who's your competition? What market do they hold? What's their messaging? Who are you as a company? What are your values? Where did you start and why? So competition and who are your customers. More than just a SWOT analysis, but let's dive into what do they really want? What are their values? What are their demographic insights? One of the things for clients is doing some past interviews. A lot of companies when they're taking that next step or as they're growing, don't ask their past clients, why did you choose our brand? What made us different than everybody else? And those insights, they're worth those weight in gold. So the C5 is almost like a 3-hour workshop with our clients to really dive in and extract every possible insight that we can and use all those ingredients to create even more impactful marketing and branding, move the needle for them in bigger ways. So it is really getting them prepared. The more, the better decisions you can make. It's finding those people that can ask those questions. So it's just asking a ton of those questions to get those deeper insights that they might not have never known, that knowledge that they never might have known might have been useful. It's really capturing those insights that can help us do bigger, bolder campaigns and ideas.
Yeah, it reminds me of the great one-liner from the great Chinese strategist Sun Tzu said, know yourself and know your enemy, and you need not fear the outcome of 100 battles.
Yeah.
And that's really where it's at. And I think that's so wise. And the second thing is, and it's such an important thing to me, and I think I mentioned this to you earlier, is that I am really big on foresight, big supporter of strategic thinking. And strategic planning is good, but if you don't do strategic thinking before you do strategic planning, you might as well be rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. And the reason is because people concentrate on what they can see. As I like to say about the Titanic, nobody cares where the drink trolley is on the luxury deck when you have a gaping hole in the boat. You got to really worry about the real problem. What are we going to do with this gaping hole in the boat? Yes, I have said on several occasions, the halls of business are lined with the carcasses of organizations who never stop to ask the hard questions, to stop and ask themselves the questions that I suspect for many were almost too hard to ask. If we ask that question, we got to do something about it. And I don't know if we're equipped to do something about it. That's part of the thought process that has always occurred to me, but they're no longer here, those companies.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think some people just don't want to know either.
I agree.
Like how many times we've been asked, we want to open up a cupcake company. This is our big idea. And then I'm like, well, what research have you done into it? Like, no, we're passionate about cupcakes. We're just going to do it. But I'm like, but what is the competitive landscape look like? Is there one in the city or are there 15? Those questions, they sometimes just don't want to know. One of the exercises we have are the 5 whys. I've ever done that exercise of when we talk to clients, why do you want to do this? Well, I want to do this because, and then you go like, okay, tell me why. And then so it keeps on going down further and to the point where you really almost get the seed of insight of what really is driving that person to do that. Because it's like, I want to build a cupcake company. Well, I love baking. Why? Because my grandmother used to do it and it reminds me of this. But why? You get to the genesis of what is driving that idea or business. It starts removing those surface, I don't want to say semi-emotional things. What's really underneath it all? Because once you clear everything away and know that is where you start, not at the first why, but at the 5th one. And that's really where it becomes even more potent, even more passionate, because you're just removing all that sort of extraneous kind of, I like decorating, I like to bake. So many other people like to do that too, but what's going to make you different and why? It's those key things. We don't ask enough questions. I think that's where the C5 and everything, another chapter in the book is like, know yourself. You really need to know yourself. And I heard also too, a really interesting strategic thinking idea. To use another kind of sports analogy, you think about the Super Bowl, to be strategic, every team has all the tapes of each other's teams. Being strategic is watching all the films, looking at the variables like, oh, this person always goes left. 90% of the time, this person goes left. Everybody's seeing the same data. But strategic thinking is taking a level up, being like, how can we see this data differently? How might we be able to use this data differently that no one else has been able to see it? Everybody has the same content, and that's all strategy. It's all very data-based, data-oriented. You get all the numbers in, but that strategic thinking is like, okay, now how can I see this? How can I use this in a way that no one else is going to be able to see or be able to use it? Right? And that's that kind of larger, bigger strategic thinking. The airplane analogy. Everybody can fly at 1,000 feet, but strategic thinking is like taking it up to that 10,000 foot. What's that bigger picture look like? And what other influences can I bring into this conversation? Maybe bring into this thinking that no one else has thought of before, or that I can use to my advantage. And that's really where, for a lot of clients, unless they do that research, unless you understand how everything works at the 1,000 foot view, you're not going to understand how to use it effectively at the 10,000 foot view, which really is that long-term you plan for business, right? That's going to keep you in business. Everybody wants to execute on something immediately, right then, right now. Like, what are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do this week? And no one's really thinking 1, 3, 5 years ahead. And that's your roadmap of that. So, yeah.
I'm a big devotee of Don Miller's story brand technique. You have to build a bridge from both sides of the river. One side of the river is, what are the problems? What are the issues that that an individual, from an entrepreneur, from an agency, from a branding and marketing company, what issues, problems do you see in the marketplace that you feel you can apply your knowledge, your experience, your background, your education, if you will, to that problem? So first you identify the problem. I've heard this from many podcast guests about the ability to be authentic. Bring yourself to the marketplace. Don't try to embellish too much. I mean, sure, we all do that. We don't talk about all the things we've done and all this kind of stuff. But then really focus on, how can you help solve these problems? How can you take somebody's pain away, if you will, or discomfort away with what you bring? And once you start meshing those two things together, the problem and capabilities, if you will, then you start to see how, as you say, the 5 whys can flow more completely and more easily down the track until you get to the last why, if you will. I'll be honest about it. I had a website a while back and said, here's John Dentico, this is what he does. Nobody cares. I had to reorient. I'm rebuilding my website. Again, reoriented about, here's the problem, here's the issue. This is what I can bring to the table to help solve that issue. That comes later on. But you've got to synchronize it with the problems and the issues in the marketplace. I'd love to get your reflection on that.
I love that. I think it's right under. I'm going to add something in there because I think sometimes a lot of people miss this. Actually, we just, as of late, we were putting together an example of this. We were putting together a contract for a client, and one of my partners at the agency drafted this contract. We had a meeting. The client said, hey, we need a website. We need this, and this. But also they needed more. My business partner put together a very in-depth proposal for her. I had a gut feeling the second I saw the proposal that it wasn't going to land. One of the things is because I don't think a lot of people in trying to solve that problem is that they're not really asking and listening and watching what that person needs. I knew it wasn't going to land because I was watching that person, the body language, but also how she was describing it, where she was at. So it wasn't just like, hey, I need a website and that's the problem she was going to solve. But I also picked up things like she is overwhelmed with how many things she has in her business. I looked at all these other things that was going on, not just on that one problem that we needed to solve. The thing that I understood is that she is so overwhelmed. If we can just make her job easier by producing something simple at that time and listening, not really trying to solve that immediate problem, but looking at everything around her as well. I think a lot of people don't. Like you said, that you can't build a bridge. Bridge has to be built by both sides. You have to understand what their pain is, but also what their situation is as well. Like, where are they at situationally? And I just found from a situational standpoint, what we were posing, although it was very in depth, it kind of answered those questions. Situationally, it would have been too overwhelming for her to kind of get into that, really, where she just wanted something simple. So seeing, just not maybe trying to solve a pain point, but also understanding where people are coming from with those pain points you're trying to solve. And that's one of those deeper insights that you should glean from someone, not just like, oh, you need this, we can do this, versus like, what is the root of that? Where is that really coming from and why? And that's kind of understanding what emotionally or just, where their situation is, and understanding, again, that 5 whys of like going a little bit, not just taking it at surface level, but asking a little bit like, oh, why? All those little things and watching for that. Another big blind spot on both sides is that everybody's very quick to try to solve a problem without really understanding where the problem is coming from. Of course we do websites, and that was our sort of like, we can help you do this and this, but not really understanding that what's the need of it, but also how can we help them not just produce a product or service for them, but also be a really great supplier, be a really great consultant, build that. Going back to my farm life, is that being part of that community of helping that person not just do that one thing, but looking at the bigger picture of down the stream. Like if we do Let's knock the first one. Let's do something small and knock it out of the park so that there's trust, and then build that up. And everybody's just swinging for the fences every single time. And I feel as though we're missing the human connection of I just think a small thing. So that for me is, I would add that layer into it of what you're saying of just understanding, but going a few levels deeper, really how you can really help person or what they need at this time, not just exactly what you can provide, but going one step deeper, seeing the human behind it all, right?
I absolutely agree. I think small wins are big things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Small wins are big things. Sometimes just relieving a certain amount of pressure so they can breathe. They can take a step back and get a breath of fresh air. It helps so much. When I do strategic thinking, and normally the output of strategic thinking flows into strategic planning.
Yeah.
Now that you see the real issues and problems, because we've been able to turn the ground over, to use a farming metaphor, I always say to them, don't take the biggest one first.
Yeah.
Take something that you can do, medium difficulty, light, maybe medium. And here's the thing that happens. Number one is you build trust.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is you learn how to do this. People think, oh, I automatically know. No, you have to learn your way through this process, and each one is different for different organizations. So you learn, okay, this is work. This was great. This is how we brought people together. This is how we collaborated. This is how we created a process action team that went out and looked at the process, came back with recommendations, and this is how we made that change. It's all about trust. It's all about learning. And then people come back, they come away with confidence. They say, what? This is working. This is making so much sense, and it's working. And you build belief and knowing in what you can do. That weighs so much in picking the pace up as you move down the line. So I absolutely agree with you. Well, honestly, go ahead.
People enjoy working with people they enjoy working with. That makes their job easier. That makes them look good. And if you can do that, winning right there. And that's so key. It's not about that quick win of getting it in and just producing that one thing. It's the exponential gain and value out of making someone's life that much easier and making them feel good, giving them the confidence. A lot of people forget, like the marketing team, a lot of people that you might be working for just want to look really good in front of their boss. So how can you make their job easier and make them look like rock stars in front of the entire team? It's a winning formula. And other thing I'm going to add in that's sort of like your strategic thinking in that and putting that cap on is like, people aren't staying in jobs for more than, let's say, 5 years. Like that's maximum. If you can work with that person and build that relationship, that's a client for life. Not only a client for life, but now your network is growing. So if you're going to keep that company, now you're keeping that person as they move up. And also too, as they move up, maybe their spending power, their budgets move up, and they're like, oh, they did a small thing, but man, where their budgets can grow exponentially. And also that word of mouth. All of a sudden, like when someone asks, say, who did you use for that? Or who would you use? It becomes an absolutely easy referral. What just takes a little bit of empathy and effort and thoughtfulness on the way as a supplier and designer. It's that whole sort of like planting the seed, not for now, but to enjoy the shade of the tree in 10 years kind of thing, right? And that's the farmer's mentality of like, I'm doing things now for things that will happen in decades to enjoy. I'm planting the apple seed so I can have apples. And that little bit of effort at the beginning can reciprocate tenfold in the future.
I agree. Absolutely. Even if you have someone inside your company, organizations hire people inside their company, and then they move, let's say they decide to leave your company, go someplace else. I know this is a difficult thing for some people to come to grips with, but you have to understand you're feeding the ecosystem in your discipline. People who leave with a positive work experience and move someplace else, they won't forget you. They'll say, I work with those guys. They were great, and I learned so much. I'm applying it to my marketing company, a branding company, and you're just feeding the ecosystem, and you're lifting, you're as we used to say in the Navy, a rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, everybody's moving up.
It really does.
It really does.
Those sayings haven't been used for decades for no reason. It is true. And maybe to circle back around to one of your original questions around values, having someone with that value system as well. Are they a team player? Are they going to do the hard things? Finding those people who share those values when, I'm trying to think of the thing about it, so they'll be there through the thick and thin of it. They're not going to just bail out when it gets too tough. And so you want those sort of, not too tough, but I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to get here. But
I got you.
It is key.
So listen, we're getting close to the end. Let me just ask you this question. Looking ahead, how do you see the future of branding evolving, especially with the rise of AI and digital saturation? What should brands be doing now to prepare?
Great question, and I been deeply thinking about one of the things. Okay, so I'll answer Okay, so for digital saturation, I'll answer that question. Is that I read something. I think it's more and more true these days with all the digital saturation, with all of this sort of basically the amount of content that's out there that everybody is putting out. I think we're going to go from a very sort of. I think we're going to want to connect more with humans again. We want to go to the stores. We want to go to the showrooms. We want to see that person face to face. We want that human interaction, those Zoom meetings, everything else. I think some of it will come down to, and also people want to talk to those experts one-on-one as well. With AI and the amount of digital content that's out there, I think we're going to want to talk to real humans. For brands, niche, because when you're everything to everybody, you're nothing to no one. So it's one of those things of being, now it's time to maybe niche down and find that pocket of thought leadership that you own and what niche you have and own that and be really specific. For brands, I think so right now, I think it could not be a more amazing time for going back to the C5, going back to those insights. Now there's never been a time like now where you can get those insights, the information from competitive analysis, customer insights, all those things that AOL will go do that research for you. And you can, never has it been easier to really get specific, get your targeting locked in, and get those deeper insights because of all the research you can do. Back to that cupcake analogy with ChatGPT, you can say, what are the closest cupcake stores in my neighborhood? What do they offer? What's their value proposition? You can keep on asking it questions and get those deeper insights. Now you can be even more targeted with your business, your value proposition, all that stuff. So it's never been easier. And that for me with AI is one of the biggest benefits. So humans are probably going to be moving forward, want more human interaction. So it doesn't feel too AI, too plastic, like you're talking to a bot, but use it for as much research as you possibly can. It's never been easier to get those insights in a way that you can digest them. Because another thing, when I say digest them, you can keep on asking it. One of the things I love about chat is the ability to dumb this down so that someone like myself could understand what you're saying or how I can use this. No matter where you land on your knowledge of social media, online presence, branding, you can keep asking it to present those insights and information in ways you can absorb and you can understand. And I think that's going to be the most powerful thing, is understanding your business in a much deeper and better way, more competitive way than you ever have. So that's one of the benefits of it.
Yeah, I think it's, as I like to say, to be determined, and it changes.
Yep.
Every day with a new tool coming online, a new system, a new way to use the tool. It's very challenging, but it's a very opportune time, I think, as well. I saw a projection that said that AI will create 170 million new jobs. While it remains to be seen, I think that very well may happen, but we will see what happens.
I was going to add one other thing on the end of this, and I think this always comes up again and again. Just the tag one thing is, don't allow it to create anxiety of where you should be or anything else. And that's one of the biggest things with AI. Everybody's talking about it, and everybody feels as though they need to be in it, and it becomes very overwhelming. I got my mom onto it, and she's like, I have no idea how to use this. And I said, just start small and don't think you need to know it all, but you can ask it something as simple as, based on these ingredients I have in my fridge, what can I make for dinner? Just don't be overwhelmed by it. Learn at your own pace. Everybody's in the exact same spot. Approach it with a childlike, playful mind first. Go have fun, go play, and learn like everybody else. So that's probably one of my biggest insights. Just go play with it first and understand it. That's where it starts. I think a lot of people have that anxiety of it being so big and so talked about all the time that it's almost becoming too overwhelming for a lot of people, and at which point they don't know where to start or how to start, which then for a lot of people they encroach back into their shell and like, it's not for me, anything else. But yeah, I would say just start small, one little thing, just play with it first, and then let your mind go into how you might use that for yourself. Everybody's going to use it differently because we're all built and think differently. So go play, go have fun with it, but start small.
I agree. I think the best advice I got was pick one and learn that.
Yep.
And learn it well.
Yep.
It has been a wonderful piece of advice. Brady, thank you so much for your time today on the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. I wish you and your organization and the people there the greatest success in the future. Have a wonderful day, and thanks again.
John, it was a pleasure.